I am Captain Spawn, and this is day 354 of Spawn Year. Dear reader, Spawn just isn't the same anymore. Sure, it's still confusing and contrived and convoluted and careless and all those other copious C words I could use. Despite the new look and the new Spawn and the severe lack of cyborgs, it is in many ways the same book it always has been. But it just feels wrong when somebody tells Spawn to go to hell and he can't fire back with, "I've been there already," or "too late." I'll admit, I was a little curious to know what a living Spawn would be like, somebody given the suit who isn't really dead. But so far, after more than a couple of years worth of issues with this guy, very little of that mystery has been solved, and I once again find myself reading about an impulsive punk who hates the world, is totally self-absorbed, whines constantly, and he doesn't have nearly as good of an excuse as Al. I think Al may have actually been more sympathetic than this guy. He was dead, no chance at getting his life back because his wife moved on, and he looked like he slept upside down on a barbecue grill. He got cheated by the devil thinking he had a chance at going home. He had his memories constantly tampered with. He was expected to lead the army of hell, constantly got uncontrollably compelled to return to gross alleys, had to live on the energy of bugs, and by the end discovered he was pure evil from birth, and his very existence was manipulated by evil forces. I mean, I still despise the guy most of the time, but if anybody had stuff to complain about, it was Al Simmons. Then Jim's like, boo-hoo, I can save people by touching them, have no idea who I am, all these bad guys want my cool suit, but I'm way more powerful than they are, and oh, I'm still alive, famous, and can have any sort of life I want when I'm not crucifying angels or ripping demons' faces apart with my bare hands. I mean, sure, he's got problems, but there's a chance he can solve them if he'd just quit acting all entitled and get a little more strategic. Al Simmons, the world's biggest whiner, ought to take one look at this guy and laugh at his face for being such a crybaby, instead of, giving him an incomprehensible speech where he and Jim can barely see around the word balloons. In this issue, Jim continues to lose his mind and drops Twitch off a roof when he doesn't immediately respond to threats. Dear God, man, what is wrong with you? I get that everyone wants a piece of you and you can't trust anybody, but when you're dangling a helpless cop over the merciless asphalt below and he's not scared of you, you should really do a little research before just letting go. Try using your memory loss-ridden brain, Mr. Where Are the Other Drugs Going? Either Twitch is the most supremely powerful being in the universe, or you're not going to get a lot out of him if he has a heart attack in midair or his neck snaps. The guy's at least in his late 50s, and you don't know this, of course, but he's already incredibly lucky to be alive considering bullets are magnetically attracted to his person. Spawn's pretty lucky he didn't kill Twitch, and with all that blood loss and considering how high he was dropped from, it is impossible to believe he isn't paralyzed or nursing several broken bones at the very least. As far as I can tell, Spawn did nothing to cushion the fall. He was surprised at Twitch's color of blood, so he assumed Twitch was lying, was another demon trying to control him, and decided to dispose of him when he wouldn't tell him what he wanted to know. But hadn't Spawn decided Twitch was telling the truth last issue and really was just a lowly cop? It was bad enough when I thought he was just parading around a chained human just to be on the safe side, but if he thinks Twitch is a demon until he sees red, it's even more ridiculous that he trusts Clown just because he volunteers information. Has it occurred to you, Jim, that you're acting like a desperate, dangerous, deluded, and all those diverse other D words I could use, dingbat, one of the bad guys, and an honest cop who knows what Twitch does about Al, and the costume would be jeopardizing potential lives by volunteering any information? Oh, and if the color of his blood was all the convincing you needed, just prick him with one of your many arm spikes and you're done. And hey, you could always try reading his mind with Bulgy's Vulcan nose meld trick. Now on the other hand, I think if Spawn were holding me at careening to the ground point, I wouldn't bank so much on the classic "you need me and if you were gonna kill me you'd have done it by now" bit. Hard to decide if Twitch is foolish or courageous here, because a part of me wants to commend him for not negotiating with a psychopath who has no regard for any life but his own and just keeps people around to use and or sleep with. I didn't think I could make Jim sound more deplorable than Al, but I think I just did. Conveniently, Twitch's dead son Max comes to him in his ought-to-be-dead mini-coma and gives him a reason to cooperate with Spawn. Max knows, I guess because in the limbo he's in, he can see everything, that Blood is after the costume. Vampires took Twitch's son, and he knows vampires are bad news, so he reluctantly tells Spawn what he knows. Okay, so that whole Max the Vampire story is still in continuity. Check. Man, I could fill another notebook this size trying to keep abreast on what details to consider real. I was really distracted during this scene, not only because it's insane Carlton has made Jim so unreasonable he's resorted to the voice from the Great Beyond device, but also because Max looks just like Harry Potter, all the way down to the school uniform. I looked for a lightning bolt on his forehead. It's also hysterical how straight this scene tries to play Max dramatically yelling, "His name is Blood!" Yeah. He's a freaking vampire. Not gonna be real hard to remember that. And how am I expected not to crack up at Twitch's "I don't like you" to Spawn when he wakes up? Understatement of Spawn year. That'd be like if you told Hannibal Lecter you didn't like him as he was finishing off your other leg. Now the rest of the issue chronicles the investigation of Twitch's new partner's confrontation with the winged demon last issue. Naturally, the police don't believe his story, but can't explain what happened. They find the nurse he refers to in a grisly, bloody, dead mess, along with the rest of the on-duty hospital staff in a closet. No relevant information is really delivered with this, except that the demon chick killed this nurse, or that nurse is somehow the demon chick. Mostly serves to pad out the issue and provide a general air of disconcerting mystery. And I think McFarlane and Carlton think it's somehow more cinematic to linger on aftermath rather than getting on with it. That would explain why the talking heads are still around. At least now the entertainment head has a real celebrity to go on about. You know, these three should really get together and start a band. They could call themselves the Older Than We Look Trio. Signed, Captain Spawn.